Hail, Internet! It's Paul. It's Matt. The Dork Lords. We are here today talking about The Marvels, featuring Captain Marvel, Ms. Marvel, and Monica Rambeau as they attempt to save the universe from Dar-Ben and the Kree. We're not going to do like it opens, it closes, although we'll talk about the post-credit scenes a little bit. But we're just going to come right to you, Paul. Paul?
Yes?
What'd you think of The Marvels?
So, I mostly liked it.
Okay.
I guess I'd give it a 7.
Okay.
I think it could have been better. I think, I like Brie Larson, even though in this role I don't think she's really established itself. I sort of feel like maybe, as impressive as Chris Hemsworth was in Thor 1 and 2. It's sort of like before the character was really figured out. And so, while I think Nia DaCosta, the director, and I guess, she did some writing chores on it too, I think she produced as well as she could there. I just don't think they have a strong enough idea about who Captain Marvel is and Carol Danvers is, so that's what I think is an unfortunate part of it. I think Kamala Khan's role in it was actually good, and the family was one of the things that stood out for me in their show, actually more than the plot of all those ghosts or wraiths or whatever they were.
Sure.
So I think she's a good, but you could say the heart of it really is Carol trying to, get right with her relationship with Monica. And, that had some, it worked it a bit, I think it could have used another couple of passes to get it
and
really
it felt rushed generally. I mean, this was the shortest, I think, of the MCU films. And there were scenes that you felt like, oh, that would have been nice to have been there. There were just little bits of either they mentioned it in passing and then they just like, wait, what? What was that? What did you just talk about? So there was a little bit of that happening as well. And those beats, you're right. Carol having a meeting of the minds with Monica was, I think, could have been more impactful than it was.
Yeah, but it had some impact, I would say.
Yeah, I will say that when, Monica makes the choice to sacrifice herself at the end to like, I'll stay in the other this other reality. Yeah. I don't know. I didn't feel like I don't know, the sadness that I think the show wanted me to feel, because I'm a cold-hearted bastard, Paul. I'd probably give it a lower score than you. I'd probably go more like a 6 maybe than a 7.
It should be noted that The Marvels suffered the worst opening weekend box office of any MCU film, so it's not exactly a record you want to be associated with.
I think the two most controversial scenes that people talk about, I feel like I liked one of them and I thought the other one was kind of half-baked. But the two scenes that people seem to reference, other than the post-credit scene, which people are like, oh, the post-credit scene. I'm like, that's never a reason to go to any movies to be like, there's that 30 seconds at the end. Oh, wow. Okay, thanks. But we'll talk about that. But the two kind of big, set pieces would be hanging out on the singing planet and the Flurkin rescue scene.
Okay, so yes.
I enjoyed the Flurkin rescue scene. I was up for
really?
it.
The cat owner likes the scene with a bunch of cats in it?
I love me my cats. No, but they're playing. It was very tongue in cheek. They're playing memories, and they're like the little the announcer voice going, "Please do not run away from the cats.
Yes.
Allow yourself to be eaten by the cats." I mean, that's funny. It was funny. It was genuinely funny.
That was good.
It made me think like, oh wait, is there a new Disney Plus show on the horizon now? They've got this legion of Flurkin on the planet now on the Earth. They're like Flurkin Force. And you just drop it. They were like matching vests, and you just drop them off in hot spots, and they just take care of business. You're like, all right, we got to see cats alternately being cute and then disgusting. Hey, perfect. I love it. I'm in. I'll watch it. But yeah, I thought that was a fun solution to the problem. I had,
And what reactions are you seeing to that?
I've heard people like, "Ah, the cat thing." Rah, 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 rah. I'm like, no,
Okay.
I was good with the cat thing.
Okay.
The singing planet.
Yeah.
I just felt like they could have done more with it. Frankly, I mean, I feel like I'm
Okay,
arguing they
okay.
should do more with it, but you know, kind of reminded me a little bit of you know, like in Trek, they had the shaka when the walls fell. I mean, it's the same idea, right? It's like there's a culture. In the case of Trek, it was
Yes,
a culture
yes,
that
yes.
only speaks through allegorical illusions, and we can't communicate
Yes.
with them, and then we find out how, and then we can do it. Like, okay, that's a premise. That's a common trope in sci-fi, and in this case, this planet only communicates through singing.
Yes.
Yeah, great, that's fine. But then it felt like it was just an excuse for a single musical number. Like they showed up, they had to sing a song, and then the prince is bilingual, so we can drop it now. Oh, we don't have to sing anymore. Okay, and then actually when they started fighting the Kree, I thought in the theater, I'm like, oh wow, we're gonna get like they're singing in battle. This will be real. Oh no. Okay, never mind. I mean, they just dropped the premise. I'm like, don't drop the premise. Like, make it. You establish this thing. This is this planet, and wow, it's got this giant obstacle to communicating. Oh, well, we're fine. I'm like, damn it, don't do that. I'm like, jump all the way in.
Interesting. Yeah, I think that's where I can. I'm not as hard on it. It's not that I wouldn't have minded them going hard on it, but to the extent that they did it, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed how Monica and Kamala were sort of enjoying the situation, and Carol Danvers was resisting it as much as she could. And so I was satisfied when she eventually did have to dance and sing a little bit, and it was clear that she shouldn't sing much more than that. Although, I assume that was her singing in Scott Pilgrim, and she did quite fine there. So
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe just that song wasn't especially good for her. But yeah, so I was fine with it, and while I wouldn't have been minded it doing more, and really that would have been, I think, better in the hands of someone who was like,
Taika Waititi.
Yeah, Taika Waititi. I think it would have, been more in his wheelhouse.
I mean, apparently they cut that scene way down. I heard.
So yeah,
maybe there was more.
Maybe there was stuff that didn't really work, and you were.
Yeah.
And if you'd seen the cutting
No,
room
if it
floor,
didn't
you would have been
work,
like, okay, yeah.
Yes. Agreed. Please put in more bad footage. I really want that. Yeah. It would obviously need to work. Yes. But I feel like if you're gonna take that bold a step to be like, no, we're traveling to this planet where they only communicate through song, then lean into it. That's what I'm saying. I'm just like, either don't go at all or go. Also, I feel like, we find out it's a marriage of convenience, but Carol's married, and like I feel like, that sounds like a big deal. Like we could have. Sounds like maybe the start of an interesting plot point, which they kind of were like, yeah, we're moving on now. You're like, okay.
I'm fine with
it.
It
was a joke.
Being
it was just it was like a joke premise.
I was fine. No, well, in my head, I was sort of like, how many husbands does she have? I mean, there's
well, good
to
point.
say
How many
that you
marriages of
can't,
convenience can you have?
Yeah.
So, okay, let's talk real fast post-credit stuff. So we had the setup of the Young Avengers, basically, where Kamala Khan talks to Kate Bishop, and basically she's the role of Nick Fury from the first Iron Man movie. Like, hey, you think you're the only one. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, while I appreciate the sentiment, I think that's one that was a little hokier than I would have liked.
Then we get this, potentially MCU changing post-credit scene, although they've, I'm thinking of the Ralph Boner thing from WandaVision, but this seems pretty difficult to just wipe away for the MCU, which is like Monica is now in at least some X-Men universe, whether it's the Fox X-Men, it seems that way, but who knows? She's meeting up with Kelsey Grammer's Beast. Her mom, Maria, is now binary, and she's in the X-Men lab. I mean, you see the the doors and all that, and we hear that Professor X is there. So she's hey, X-Men are in the MCU now, ish or whatever. So, I mean, we do know that, for instance, Wolverine is in Deadpool 3, so there's that crossover already coming.
I don't know if it's doing quite as much as bringing the X-Men in. One of the things I guess the show really did not have Hank McCoy or the Beast be a very large part of any of the movies. He always had little bit parts to play in all of them. Mm-hmm. And so, which, makes sense. Well, I mean, I guess actually they had someone else playing him when he was young.
Oh, right. So, yes, young Hank.
Yeah, so young Hank, and that was a much larger, and I really like that actor quite a bit.
He played J.R. Tolkien, by the way.
Right, that's true. Yes, he did.
As well. So there you go. Everything comes back to Lord of the Rings, Paul.
Nicholas Hoult is a very good actor. I like him a lot on The Favorite. I'd rather, I feel like they put in, that's had a lot more success for me, that one. But, if I was Kevin Feige, I think I might want to start my own X-Men and cast it. So I don't necessarily see, I mean, in any group, since, Kelsey Grammer's Beast was just a side note, he could be a side note in any of them.
Right.
So, those. Oh, and the other actually bit of side casting, was Valkyrie showing up too.
Yeah.
Which was fine. I like her as an actress. That's another instance in which you could suggest they could have done more.
She kind of showed up as a cameo to give the Skrulls refugees a place to go.
Yeah. It's like, how do we reduce the plot elements? Have somebody come, and so you get a twofer. Reduce plot elements, and also acknowledge how the MCU, can bring anybody in.
It is part of the. Maybe I don't know. It's a story beat that MCU has used now a few different times, and we saw it in Secret Invasion, the series, and I'm having trouble just not looking past the curtain on it. So it's like, okay, in this situation, Dar-Ben is our villain, kind of an unmemorable villain, but she's a villain, and her thing is like, our planet's dying, Hala.
Right.
I'm going to vacuum up other people's air.
Right.
And I'm going to kill other people's sons and all, so I can keep my,
Right.
In my opinion, just move. It's the same thing with the Skrulls. We have nowhere to go. And then Valkyrie shows up, like, hey, I guess you could come with me. And they're like, great. I'm like, I get it.
Wait a minute. I mean, those are just some of the refugees. It's not like where they were become their new home planet or anything.
So, for instance, in Secret Invasion, that was one of the main plot points of Secret Invasion.
Right.
Is, oh my God, you promised that you'd find us a home, and then you just never did.
Right.
And it's like these cultures essentially have instantaneous space travel, more or less, to countless planets across the universe, if not the multiverse.
Right, but I guess I feel as if what they're trying to say is all the places that are habitable are habitable. There are habitations there. Okay. That's what they're saying.
Okay, you're saying there's literally no new frontier. Star Trek doesn't need to exist. They're like, nah.
Well, most of the place they go, if there's a place that can keep life, has life.
Okay. It just, given the tech we've seen on display, I'm just like, you guys. It just seems like a lack of thinking outside the box for these guys. Like, come on, surely.
Yeah. I mean, they're deliberately not resolving the issue.
Yeah. It's an issue that feels like.
And so but what we don't have, I mean, one of the things I always felt though is that. You want to be careful from creating a solution in movies that don't exist in real life. And so, we have an actual situation on our planet where people don't have a place to call their own. And so, if you want to tell that kind of story, you don't say, but then we found a place.
Okay. I'm just saying, if you introduce, it's the Chekhov space travel. You introduce the idea that you can go to any planet you want, and then you're like, I don't know, there's no planets. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, but that's the situation we have here. Where's their planet? that's a hard problem to solve, and maybe the story is that you can't solve the problem.
Yeah, well, I guess Trek had its own issue with that, which it solved with the Kirk puts Khan on. Hey, here's a habitable planet.
Yeah.
And then the star goes nova, and so it becomes uninhabitable. But yeah, anyway, so it's I get it. It's a plot point, and they're trying to. You're right. They're not just trying to wave it away to solve the problem.
And actually, the thing that I would say about this, the fact that they wanted it to be the revelation that she destroyed the artificial intelligence, and therefore that caused all these problems. I don't think that should be. The final revelation we received is that. Why is everybody calling her the Annihilator? Why is everybody so mad at her? They had a good reason, but I think it's not.
I get it from their standpoint.
What I'm saying is that to make it something that we don't see until that part of the show where that's why she feels bad. I don't think you needed to keep it a secret. I think it should have been, we should have been aware of that at the time, or, it shouldn't be squandered in one movie and at the end where it's like, okay, I'll do right by you now. Because at the end it's like, oh, well, you can supercharge the sun and that's okay. Is it okay? Yeah. Is that really what it should be?
And that ending I thought was maybe, a little
it's a little pat.
Like,
yeah,
you had the power all along.
Yeah, it should have been just the beginning, of how they solve things. That's what you want. Like, look at how, as I'm going to bring up as an example, not some series of books about elves, but The Expanse.
Which is based on Lord of the Rings, of course, but go ahead.
The Expanse, which has a number of intergalactic or interplanetary issues. And so, just because you have a solution doesn't mean that it solves all problems.
Right.
And
no, you're right.
You still need to figure out other things because, nothing is perfect. And so...
Yeah, there's no end to the story in a way. It's like, you solved this problem, but that doesn't mean that other problems won't arise.
Right. And, to me, personally, that's a stronger story than, hey, there's a glove with a bunch of, rocks on it that, will cause somebody to be able to end the universe.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a very specific sort of thing. And the whole having to keep all the Skrulls secret and everything instead of making them refugees that people are aware of, is only recently, I think now they're aware of them, right? Yeah. And so you very quickly, though, had to deal with the situation where it's like, okay, we're going to oppress them, or we're going to, as opposed to have the real, how that would really play out, which means, okay, we're going to have small issues build up over time and really have drama play out effectively. So, it's a stronger thing to build on if they decided to build on it, but I'm sure they're not going to build on it.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be building on it.
Because it's like, oh, what villain can we have?
Right.
And while, sure, it's as good a way as any is to bringing in these alternate universes with Fantastic Four and X-Men. I don't think it's going to provide the kind of operability of stories that this whole, what about people that are, displaced and they're looking for a place to be?
Yeah. And I mean, we find out, Carol destroyed the Supreme Intelligence. She destroyed Annette Bening.
Yeah.
And then so we learned that the Kree went on to start a civil war, and then that apparently doomed the planet in some way.
Right.
So, as you like, Carol freed them from an AI controlling dictator.
Yes.
I mean, like, on its face, that doesn't sound like a bad thing, and I don't know that she has something to apologize for that. But yes, from their standpoint, all went to hell as soon as their AI overlord went away, and so they're like, we want our AI overlord back. Oh, but so we're talking about a secret invasion. I mean, that was another thing that I remember at the time when we were recapping Secret Invasion, but it wasn't a good show, but it is theoretically canon, but
I remember why would it be canon?
At the end of the finale,
yes,
Nick and his wife that we just learned about in the series, Vara, are like beaming up to the Saber base to work on a treaty or negotiate terms or whatever with the Kree and the Skrull. So in other words, it was right before this movie.
Yeah.
And not only does the Nick Fury we see in here look nothing like the, in terms of his actions, look nothing resembling what we saw from the broken down guy from Secret Invasion, but also his wife is nowhere to be seen. They don't mention her. I'm like, come on now.
Maybe she was really the one who was doing his hair all that time, and so he had to see her in order to get his look back. And and when she does, she's like, "Hey, I'm just gonna stay in my room and read. I don't need to, see." She jumped into the flirting early.
That's right. Right. She was just off screen.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, if you're gonna have, and those things are fairly close in time. I mean, Secret Invasion was just earlier this year.
Sure.
And I get it; they were filmed at different times, but you would think there would be a little more coordination. Like, oh, right, we set this up so that. Nick Fury is now kind of recommitted to his relationship with his wife, and he's coming to help negotiate between the Kree and the Skrull. And then they just dropped it. I mean, they were like, this. The TV series does not exist, which we've seen before. That TV series don't have an impact, but I kind of thought this one might, and it did not.
No. Well, I mean, they did. Unfortunately, they didn't do a good job here. I would suggest, much like they didn't do a good job of integrating WandaVision with Doctor Strange. So,
Yep. Agreed. That was a big disconnect as well.
Yeah. So that could have been handled better. I agree.
Yeah. I thought some of the action set pieces were fun and creative. We have this gimmick of whenever we use our powers at the same time, we switch.
Yeah. I liked the little montage they had where they were training. So,
and it also gives, in some ways, Carol like a reason why she can't just go full on use her powers. She's like, oh well, if I do, so it gave her a nice obstacle that she. I mean,
the thing that was in my head is like, she had long stretches where she's flying and doing all sorts of things that weren't using her powers. I mean,
I know. Well, like in other words, the assumption is while she's doing that, the others know not to use their powers. I think. They're like, she's flying. Okay, hang on.
I see.
Okay.
So
that was the little activating thing. I'll say this, because they did spend, in my opinion, too much time trying to technobabble describe what was happening with their powers. I'm like, it's not going to make sense anyway. Like you're just saying words.
Yeah.
Just sum it up in a couple of sentences and move on. Okay, we got it. Oh, whenever you use your powers, it's affecting me and I switch with you. Got it. Okay, I get it. I don't need you to say, because of the quantum entanglements connected to the jump gates and then the intermolecular. I'm like, no, blah, blah, blah. You just move on. I'm good with it. Sum it up and move on.
I think it was, they wanted to have the reason why all their powers were, and I think it was awkward. I agree it was awkward, but I kind of feel like that's all they were left with.
Okay, you feel like they're like, all right, let's do this. Let's.
It's like, wait a minute, why? It's like, yeah. So
they chose
it's like, sorry, especially when it's like, and the solution is going to be technical. If it's like, no, yes, it could have been done better because like, now we're not entangled anymore. Oh, really? No, you're not entangled anymore. Okay, I'm going to let you pass by not saying why you're not entangled anymore, but don't know why that is.
They seemed to be setting up an arc for Kamala, for Ms. Marvel, that, we're going to see her kind of mature as a hero. And they kind of did that, but they kind of dropped it as well. Like, I don't...
Wait,
like, they had the... at the beginning, for the first, say, half of the movie, like, it was a little annoying to me, but I get it. Whatever. It's like, she's constantly awestruck by Captain Marvel. I mean, I get that you would be awestruck because she's your hero the first time you meet her. Yeah. Oh my God! It's Captain Marvel. But like the 8th time, you're like, okay, calm down, that's fine. But So she's the excited newbie. And I'm
Yeah,
my hero.
I can kind of see why you're saying that. It's just I would cut them a break, and partly because for her there were these milestones of what she was doing. So I'm doing this with Captain Marvel. I'm doing that with Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
So
okay,
she's just a fan. So that's still gonna be there. And by the end, she, it's like she's not gonna be like, that's what I love best about you is that you caused many deaths on a planet, and were afraid to see your family. Oh, that's what I love best about you. It's like she said, hey, she has the moment there where she says, you're a human, and me being too fanish didn't give you the space to do that. So
That's true. She does say that, but there's a scene that I thought maybe was leading somewhere, and obviously somebody thought it was going to lead somewhere at some time because they put the scene in, but then maybe it got cut. I don't know. But it's they're trying to save the Skrulls, and she's like, "We got to stay. There's more of them out there." And and Carol's like, "Well, we have to save who we can."
Yeah.
In other words, there's going to be people dying, but we've got these, and we're all going to die unless we leave now.
Yeah.
And so that seemed like a good chance to see like this maturation of Ms. Marvel, to be like, oh, I see this awful responsibility that can come with being a hero. I'm choosing who lives and who dies. But it kind of got waved away. It was like, and then it was kind of on.
Yeah, but I would say that it's because it's Carol's movie.
Okay.
And that I would say that's the sort of landmark of how they were becoming more of a team, and that she was bowing to Captain Marvel's experience. It's sort of like, look, this is what you have to realize about doing it. Because, I would suggest that initially, at least this is why I felt with Kamala, when she says, oh, you're going to stay here, and she kind of felt like, well, I can help, and I want to prove myself to my hero. Yeah. People always telling me, my mom telling me that I can't do stuff, but I can. And so, but once she starts to do it, then she sees the cost, and she's still not used to it, so she should have problems, and that's one of the problems. So that's kind of how I saw it. And then, especially when she could, instead of like a child, tell her mom that I have to do this, and the mom actually has already come to recognize that she does have to do it.
And we got this kind of a fun plot development in that because the Khan's house was destroyed in this Kree fight, they end up moving into the old Rambeau house in Louisiana. And so that's kind of a interesting development there.
Yeah.
So yes, that's our thoughts on the Marvels.
Yeah.
Thank you as always, Paul. Appreciate it, good
no
sir.
problem.
And we'll talk to everybody next time.
Bye.
Bye.